What is up, you guys? It is Breyonna, and today we are testing out a palette that I've gotten literally so many requests from you guys to use, and that is the brand new Morphe 35Xo Natural Flirt Holiday Palette. And I gotta say, like, looking at this palette, it gives me like romantic, like soft glam vibes. You know, we have these really pretty rosy shades, we have hints of like warm toned browns, raspberries, and we even have a really cool pressed glitter in here too. As like a first impressions of this palette, I like the color story of it, but a lot of the shades look very similar. And also, I'm kind of surprised that this was the holiday palette for this year, because this one gives me like romantic Valentine's Day vibes. It doesn't really feel holiday to me, because I don't know about you guys, but when I think of a holiday palette, I think of like gold, you know, silver, a lot of shine, a lot of glitter, you know, reds and greens, and this palette just doesn't scream holiday to me. Again, like, the color story is really pretty. I just feel like it should have been more so of like a Valentine's Day launch instead of a holiday launch. So as always, the first thing that I'm going to do is prime my eyelids, and of course I'm just going to use my favorite, which is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Eye Primer. And I'm doing about maybe like a pea size on the back of my hand, you know, just enough to cover both of the eyes. And I'm just going to apply it with this kind of like bigger, kind of like shader brush. And this one's from the Morphe Pride collection. And when I'm applying it, I'm kind of like tapping it into the skin, just so we get a lot of coverage with it. Now, I don't know if you're like this too, but sometimes with larger palettes like this one, I have a really hard time figuring out like which shade I want to go in with first. You know what, let's go in with this like dusty rose shade called Talk Feelings. I'm just going to be taking it on this big old blending brush from Morphe called an E27, and oh my gosh, like, that is so pigmented. I was not expecting it to look this way when I applied it. Oh my gosh, like, that is a lot darker than I was anticipating. I kind of wish I would have went in with the really light baby pink in here called Eye Contact, because I don't know if you guys can see, but it's a lot darker when applied than in the pan, which, I mean, isn't a big deal, but it just kind of gave me like that shock factor. But I'm just going to go in with a little bit more on my brush. And again, I'm just applying it in my crease. And then doing these little circular motions to blend it upwards towards my brow. I'm also using it around my outer V. I don't know why I said that weird. I have retainers in my mouth, and sometimes they make me like stutter my words. I don't know if you guys have them too, but it's really frustrating. Well, I have like permanent metal ones. I don't have like plastic ones, because I used to have braces as a kid. I'm just going to go in with another layer, but man, like, this color is actually really pretty, and it is blending out like butter. Like, honestly, you wouldn't even have to build it up if you didn't want to. Like, it has a lot of pigment to it. So once you have that applied, the next shade that we are going to be going in with is this kind of like raspberry shade called Love Story. I barely tap my brush into the pan, and I mean, like, look at how much I got on here. And I'm just taking this brush from the Morphe Madison Beer collaboration. And again, I'm just going to be applying this into my crease, because you guys know I like a lot of definition with my looks. Ooh, that's a really pretty color with that shade that we just used. And again, like, I'm really like pressing it into that crease, and then afterwards I'm doing these like little circular motions to blend it upwards. And I'm also just kind of taking whatever's left on my brush and kind of like packing it down in this outer third of my lid. But honestly, like, this shade is really pigmented too. I'm going to go in with a second layer though, just to kind of see what is up. I mean, like, it does build up a little bit, but honestly, you wouldn't even have to do 2 layers if you didn't want to. Kind of just depends on what you want it to look like. But on initial application, like, both of these shades have been really pigmented. So now we're going to go in with this shade that I'm the most curious about out of all the shades in this palette, and that is this really cool kind of like plummy purple shade called Meet the Rents. There's just something so different about this shade that really kind of like drew me into it. But I'm just going to be taking it on this tiny little blending brush from Morphe. They don't make it anymore, it's from the Hit the Lights collection, but if you want something similar to it, a Morphe M507 brush is almost identical. But I'm just going to be taking this again in my crease, because I like a lot of definition. Like, you guys know, like, I like my looks really dark and smoky. And I'm just going to go in with a second layer too. Now, normally I would go in and cut my crease, but honestly, I just want to do a little bit of a softer look today. I don't know, I'm just not feeling doing a cut crease. So instead, we're actually going to go in with a shimmer on the lid, and I'm trying to debate like which one I want to go in with, because all of the shimmers in this palette are really soft and elegant looking, but I kind of want to go in with this purpley pink shade called Kiss Me. And then using a damp and flat shader brush, I'm just going to be applying it to my lid. Ooh, that is such a pretty color. It's kind of like a baby pink with lavender sparkle to it. And it almost looks frosted in a way too. Like, that's a really cool shade. I was honestly expecting it to look a lot softer than it does. Like, I thought it was going to be more of like a wearable shimmer, you know what I mean? Like something that looks a little bit more like a satin. But this one is honestly like really, really sparkly. Like, if you like those extra shimmers, you're going to like how this one looks. She's stunning in person. And I'm also kind of like taking this shimmer slightly above my natural crease because I do have slightly hooded eyes. And I find that when I apply just to my lid alone, it kind of makes my eyes look really small. So I'm just going to go a little bit above. And the best way to do that is if you look straight and you have your mirror in front of you. Go like this and go right above it. And kind of mimic the shape of your natural crease too. Just kind of like follow it. And to make it like extra sparkly, I'm just going to go in with a little bit on my finger. But you see what I mean though? Like, it is super glittery looking. It's not the pressed glitter in the palette, but the formula just has a lot of shine to it. It's that one Morphe shimmer that's like super, super creamy. But at the same time, it doesn't like give a lot of fallout and it's really easy to work with. It definitely reminds me of the shimmers in the 39S Such a Gem palette. Because that palette literally has some of my favorite shimmer formulas in it. And if you feel like that line is just looking a little bit funny or a little bit too crisp, you can just go in with that brush that we applied Meet the Rents with. And then just lightly go back and forth to help diffuse it. I just can't get over how pretty this palette is though. And I'm also actually going to take a little bit more of Meet the Rents on that brush and pack it on this outer third of the eyelid. Now you could leave this look where it is right now, but honestly, I really want to try out the pressed glitter in here. I know not everybody likes pressed glitter, but I don't know, it just looks really pretty. It's kind of like a rose gold color. I'm just going to be taking it on my finger, because I like to apply the ones from Morphe with my finger more than a brush. I find that they get just a little bit more sparkly that way. Okay, that is a really pretty color. Yeah, it's definitely a rose gold. I really enjoy that Kiss Me shade underneath of this glitter too. It kind of gives it a little bit more depth. And again, I'm kind of like taking it up slightly above my natural crease too. And I'm just applying it honestly anywhere that we applied Kiss Me. Oh yeah, that is a really pretty color. Like, if you're into those romantic, soft pink kind of looks, I think you're going to really like how this palette looks. I'm going to go in with a second layer though, kind of see what's up. So if you do 2 layers, it does seem like it does get a little bit more glittery. But if you do 1 layer, it's more of like a softer glitter look. But if you want something really intense, I would definitely recommend doing 2 layers. So I'm just going to go in with a little bit of that purple shade called Meet the Rents on this angled, kind of like fluffy brush. And I'm just going to be packing it right on the outer third of my lid. And then I'm slightly overlapping it with the glitter too, just so we get a really good blend. And again, when I'm doing this, I'm making sure that I'm pressing it in, just so we don't disturb anything underneath. And I'm also kind of just taking whatever is left on my brush and kissing the edge of the pressed glitter. So again, we don't have any like weird kind of like glitter pieces up here, and just so everything looks all nice and soft. Like for a pressed glitter, I don't even feel it on the eyes at all. It doesn't feel scratchy either. It's just really nice. But off camera though, I am gonna like clean up this fallout situation that I have going on because I kind of over blended everything. And I'm also going to, apply like my complexion products, liner, lashes, all of that good stuff. And then afterwards, I'll be right back to finish up the look. So here's where I'm at right now after doing that all off camera, and man, like this is really turning out to be kind of like a Valentine's Day look in a way. But now we're gonna start working on the lower lash line, and I'm thinking, you know what, I'm gonna go back in with that Love Story shade. I'm just going to be taking it on this teeny tiny little shader brush from Morphe. And I'm just going to be running it right underneath my lower lash line, doing back and forth motions. And this is like one of those kind of like pinched almost shader type brushes. So I'm just taking it the long way when I do this. And once you have that nice and smoky, now we're going to be doing my absolute favorite part, which is the inner corner highlight. And I'm kind of debating on this kind of like silvery shade right here or this champagne one. But I think, you know what, I'm going to go in with this champagne one called Your Move. Like the other one's really cute too, but I don't know, I want to keep things a little bit on the softer side. And I feel like a champagne would be just a little bit softer than a metallic silver. But I'm just taking it on this Morphe M431 little pencil brush. Ooh, yep, that was the call. I love that shade. Oh my gosh. Like it pairs so well with that glitter. And I'm just going to go in with a second layer. just to really like pack it in there because I want a really bright inner corner highlight today. I mean, I always want it bright, but I want it like really bright today just because we have that glitter going on the lid. And just to help balance everything. Ooh, I have an eye boogie. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when I do my inner corner highlight, I get like this weird like eye booger situation, and it's really, really annoying. It's an absolutely stunning color. I feel like this would even be really pretty on the lid. If you didn't do the pressed glitter and you just did Kiss Me and this, it'd be a really pretty combo too. I gotta say, like how this look turned out, it is just so pretty. I'm gonna have a hard time washing this one off tonight just because I like how it looks. I think it's really pretty and kind of on the girly side. But honestly, I've had just a lot of fun playing with this palette. I think it's just a really fun color story, especially if you like rosy pinks. So let's talk about the formula of the palette, and the mattes in here are extremely pigmented. Like honestly, you don't even have to build them up if you don't want to. Like they are very intense right away, which if you're somebody that likes really pigmented shades, I think you're gonna really enjoy the mattes in here. And even though they are really pigmented, since they are very easy to blend out, I would actually say that they're very beginner friendly too. Usually when I say a palette is beginner friendly, it's because it has a buildable formula. Personally, I find a buildable formula a little bit easier to work with, and also I find that I get a better blend with it too. But since these shadows were so easy to work with and they literally blended themselves out, like I barely had to use any effort to blend with them, I feel like if you're a beginner, you're not going to struggle with this palette. As for the shimmers that we use today, they are honestly so beautiful. Like I am really obsessed with them just because they are so creamy, they're very pigmented, and also they have just a lot of shine and sparkle to them. They aren't like a wearable shimmer in my opinion. They're more of like that extra shine and extra like pizzazzy type. And to me, Morphe has a very hit and miss shimmer formula. Like sometimes, you know, it's a little bit more of a satin formula, and other times it's like really, really nice. And these ones really remind me of the ones in the 39S Such a Gem palette, as well as the 35C Everyday Chic. And the shimmers in both of those palettes are my favorite shimmers in my Morphe collection. As for the pressed glitter in the palette, I absolutely love it. It was so easy to apply and also has just a lot of shine to it. But I will say, if you do use the pressed glitter in this palette, I would highly recommend applying it with your finger. It's just a little bit easier to get more control with it, and also it just looks a little bit more smooth on the eyes. And I would also recommend applying a shimmer shade underneath of it, so like what I did with the shade Kiss Me, and then go in with the pressed glitter on top, because it'll make it a little bit more intense and just have a little bit more dimension to it. So when it comes down to it, would I recommend this palette to you guys? And honestly, I cannot recommend this one enough. If you like the color story of this one, you're gonna absolutely fall in love with it because the formula is amazing. Like literally none of the shadows in here gave me any issues. You know, the mattes in here are very pigmented. The shimmers have a lot of dimension to them. And even the pressed glitter was really pretty and easy to apply. If you're somebody that really enjoys warm tone neutrals, rosy pinks, as well as raspberries, I feel like you're gonna get a lot of use out of this palette. And again, if you're somebody that really enjoys the 39S Such a Gem or the 35C Everyday Chic, the quality of this palette right here is identical to both of those. Even though I really enjoyed the quality of this palette, I wish that they would have held off on this one and launched it during Valentine's Day, just because this palette just screams Valentine's Day to me. I mean, literally, it is called 35Xo. You know, the names of the shadows in here kind of have like that romantic, you know, kind of like relationship type of vibe to them. And also the color story just literally is a Valentine's Day dream. To me, the only disadvantage of this palette is unfortunately a lot of the shades in here look very similar, especially these kind of like warm tone neutrals, as well as, you know, some of these deeper kind of like plummy colors and even some of the rosy colors over in here, which is unfortunate because I feel like they could have really played up the color story a little bit more in here. You know, maybe add some like reddish shades or some deeper plums and even like maybe some mulberries. But yeah, so in the comments down below, let me know what you think about this look, and also let me know what you think about this palette and if you're going to be picking it up. But as always though, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and also give this video a like. And if you'd like to check me out over on my Instagram page or my TikTok, it is @BreyonnaFaye as well. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!